For centuries, stories of the ultimate HFY warship had circulated through the galaxy like whispers in the dark. Some dismissed it as a legend, an exaggerated tale told by thrill-seekers and explorers. Others believed it to be real, a ship so powerful that it could turn the tide of any war in an instant. No one knew where it came from or who had created it, but every faction feared its power. The galaxy was home to mighty empires, each vying for control over planets, resources, and technology. But amid the constant struggles for dominance, the warship stood as a symbol of something far beyond their reach, a force that no one could predict, a weapon too powerful for anyone to wield without consequences. Kane, a skilled pilot from Earth, had heard the rumors. He had been stationed on a small research outpost, far from the busy core systems of the galaxy. To Kane, the stories of the warship seemed like a joke. He wasn't one for fantasy. He believed in hard facts and missions. Yet, something about the mystery of the warship intrigued him. What if it was real? What if it could change everything for humanity? One quiet evening, as Kane sat in his quarters, the familiar hum of the station was interrupted by an incoming transmission. A coded message, garbled and barely decipherable, appeared on his screen. Kane frowned as he tried to decode the strange symbols. After a few tense moments, the message cleared, revealing coordinates that led directly to an uncharted sector deep in the galaxy. It was a place no one had ventured before, hidden within an ancient star system, shrouded by dangerous space anomalies. The message also contained a single line of text: "The ultimate warship awaits." Kane's pulse quickened. He had heard of such places, where long-lost technologies were hidden, waiting for the right person to uncover them. But this was different. This wasn't just another abandoned research station or forgotten shipyard. This was the warship, the thing that the galaxy feared, and now it was calling to him. He couldn't ignore it. He had to know if it was real. He had to see it with his own eyes. Without wasting a moment, Kane rushed to gather a team. He wasn't sure who could help him, but he knew he needed experts. A skilled mechanic, a brilliant strategist, and someone who could navigate the complexities of ancient alien technology. Kane made his decisions quickly. There was no time to waste. As his team assembled, Kane's mind raced with questions. What would they find at the coordinates? Was it really the ultimate warship, or just another elaborate hoax? Either way, the danger was real, and the potential was unimaginable. For once, the pilot wasn't just following orders. He was going after something that could change the course of history. The adventure was about to begin, and the fate of the galaxy might just rest in the hands of one human pilot and his crew. Kane's heart raced with excitement as the small crew he had assembled set out from the station. The ship was fully stocked, and the journey to the coordinates was about to begin. He looked over his crew. Each person had a specific skill set, and he needed every single one of them for what lay ahead. Rachel, a brilliant mechanic, was checking the ship's engine, ensuring that everything would run smoothly. Her hands moved quickly, tightening bolts and adjusting wiring with expert precision. Kane had worked with Rachel before, and he trusted her. Alex, a quiet but sharp strategic officer, was studying the galaxy map, trying to plot their course through dangerous space anomalies. His focus was intense, but Kane could see the flicker of curiosity in his eyes. He, too, was eager to know whether the warship was real. And then there was Dr. Lara, an alien scholar and historian, who had joined the mission after hearing about the mystery. She was the expert on ancient technologies and the hidden civilizations that once ruled the galaxy. Her knowledge was invaluable, especially when it came to understanding the possible origins of the warship. Kane took a deep breath, glancing at the coordinates again. They were traveling into unknown territory, a region that no one dared explore for centuries. The area was known for its dangerous space anomalies, unstable gravity wells, electromagnetic storms, and strange, unpredictable energy fields that could tear a ship apart in an instant. But Kane had no choice. The message had led them here, and there was no turning back. The journey was long, and as the days passed, the crew faced their first challenges. A powerful storm surged through their path, tossing the ship around like a toy in the vast ocean of space. Kane kept his hand steady on the controls, relying on his instincts to guide them through the violent chaos. He could hear the hum of the engines, but the ship seemed to grow heavier with every passing second, as though the storm was testing their resolve. Despite the violent turbulence, Kane's crew remained calm. Rachel worked tirelessly to keep the systems from malfunctioning, and Alex's navigation kept them on course. But it was Dr. Lyra's knowledge that truly kept them grounded. She had been studying ancient records, and as the storm raged, she explained that the warship might have been hidden within a star system that contained strange, unnatural forces that were part of its protection. Finally, after what felt like days, the storm began to calm, and the stars ahead began to take shape. Kane looked out of the cockpit window and saw it, a faint glimmer in the distance. It wasn't a star. It wasn't a planet. It was something larger, something with a structure unlike anything he had ever seen. It was the warship. His pulse quickened, and a sense of awe swept over him. They were close now, closer than anyone had ever been. He knew that they had crossed into a realm where no one had dared to tread, and the warship that awaited them was no myth. But Kane also knew that if they weren't careful, the journey could end in disaster. There were still unknown dangers out there, and they would need every ounce of skill to survive. The real challenge was just beginning. As the warship's coordinates came into clearer view, Kane felt a mixture of excitement and tension. The vastness of space was beginning to show its full power. Before them, hidden deep in an uncharted system, was a massive space station, ancient and seemingly abandoned. Its dark, metallic surface glinted faintly as they approached. "Are we sure this is it?" Rachel asked, her voice full of doubt, though she tried to hide it. The mechanic's gaze was fixed on the station's outer walls, which looked like they had been untouched for centuries. "Only one way to find out," Kane replied. He set the ship on a slow, careful descent toward the docking bay of the station. The crew moved silently as the ship docked, and once the airlock opened, they were greeted by a cold, musty atmosphere. The station, despite its age, seemed to be in surprisingly good condition, almost as if it had been waiting for someone. The walls were covered in strange alien symbols, and the floors creaked with the weight of time. "Stay close, and keep your comms open," Kane ordered as he led the group into the depths of the station. As they ventured deeper into the heart of the station, the air grew heavier, charged with an energy they couldn't explain. Dr. Lyra spoke in hushed tones, translating the symbols as they passed them. "This place, it's ancient. This is a forgotten repository of lost technology." The group reached a large chamber at the center of the station, where a strange floating device hovered in the center. Its surface glowed with a faint, eerie light. Kane's instincts told him that this was a key piece of the puzzle, but before he could make any moves toward it, a low, mechanical hum filled the air. Suddenly, the doors slammed shut behind them, trapping them inside. A deep voice echoed throughout the chamber. "You should not be here." The voice was not human, nor was it alien in the usual sense. It was something different, cold, calculating, and ancient. Kane's heart raced. He wasn't prepared for this. He quickly reached for his weapon, but before he could draw it, a figure appeared in front of them. It was tall, cloaked in dark armor, its features obscured. The being didn't move like a normal person. Its movements were swift, almost fluid, as if it had no need for the same rules of gravity that applied to the crew. "Who are you?" Kane demanded, his voice steady despite the growing tension in the room. "I am the Guardian," the figure said. "The ship you seek is not meant for your kind. It was created by those who came before. It is not for the hands of those who still struggle to understand their place in the galaxy." Kane narrowed his eyes. He wasn't about to let some mysterious being tell him what humanity could or couldn't do. "We came for the warship. We are taking it, whether you like it or not." A loud mechanical click echoed through the chamber as the Guardian's armor seemed to shift. Then you will face the consequences. Without warning, the Guardian moved toward them, faster than any human could react. Kane raised his weapon, but before he could fire, a sudden flash of light burst from the Guardian's chest, blinding them all. Kane's mind raced as everything went dark. His last thought before losing consciousness was simple: this is only the beginning. Kane woke with a start, his head pounding. The darkness around him was thick and heavy, but as his senses returned, he realized he wasn't alone. His crew members were scattered around the floor, groaning as they slowly came back to consciousness. It took a moment for Kane's eyes to adjust, but when they did, he saw something that took his breath away. They were no longer in the ancient space station. Instead, they stood in a vast chamber, filled with glowing walls and strange, intricate machinery. It looked like something from another era, something far beyond the technology of the galaxy's current powers. Kane pushed himself to his feet and helped Rachel up. Alex and Dr. Lyra were already standing, looking around in awe. "What is this place?" Rachel asked, her voice trembling with wonder. Dr. Lyra's eyes widened. "This is it. This is the heart of the warship." The words sent a chill down Kane's spine. He had expected to find something powerful, something dangerous. But this was something entirely different. The walls were covered with symbols and strange writing, and the air was thick with energy. It felt alive, as if the entire place was watching them. "The warship isn't just a ship," Dr. Lyra continued, her voice shaking with excitement. "It's a living, sentient being." Kane looked around, unsure of how to process this. He had always believed that the stories of sentient ships were just legends, fairy tales told by those who wanted to impress. But standing in front of him was clear proof that the impossible was very real. This wasn't just a weapon. It was something far more powerful. A sudden, deep voice echoed through the chamber, vibrating the air. It came from everywhere, yet nowhere at the same time. "You have awoken me." Kane's heart skipped a beat. The voice wasn't like any normal voice. It was ancient, resonant, and somehow full of authority. The words themselves felt heavy, like they had been waiting to be spoken for centuries. "We did not intend to awaken you," Kane said, his voice steady despite the uncertainty. "We came seeking the warship." The voice responded with a strange mix of amusement and something darker. "I am the warship. I have waited for a worthy commander." Before Kane could respond, a sudden shift in the room caught his attention. A massive glowing console rose from the center of the chamber, and the walls around them seemed to bend, revealing large holographic displays. The ship was alive, responding to their presence. The walls seemed to pulse as if the ship itself was breathing. Kane instinctively took a step forward, his crew following him. They reached the console, and as Kane placed his hand on it, the ship's systems activated, sending a rush of energy through the air. "This ship was created to protect," the voice boomed, "but it was also designed to test. You are not the first to seek my power, but you are the first to prove yourself worthy." Kane felt a surge of pride at those words. The warship was recognizing him. The realization hit him hard. This wasn't just a ship, it was an ancient guardian of untold power, and somehow humanity had earned its trust. "Show me what you can do," Kane said, his voice firm and filled with purpose. The walls of the chamber lit up, revealing blueprints of the warship, showing its massive capabilities. Kane's crew watched in awe as the ship's systems flickered to life. They had unlocked something truly incredible, a weapon unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. But as the systems powered up, Kane knew that their journey was only just beginning. The galaxy would soon know the true power of humanity's ingenuity, and they would never see it coming. Kane's heart raced as the warship's systems began to activate. The walls around them glowed brighter, and the once silent, empty space now hummed with life. A powerful energy filled the room, and it seemed as though the warship was alive, responding to his touch. He could feel the pulse of the ship deep within his bones. The voice, which had spoken earlier, echoed once again throughout the chamber. "You are my new commander. I recognize you." Kane's hands tightened around the console in front of him. He still couldn't believe what was happening. This wasn't just any warship. This was a living, breathing entity that had been waiting for the right person to guide it. And somehow, that person was him. Dr. Lara, standing beside him, was equally stunned. This is incredible. It's not just a ship. It's a sentient being, with its own consciousness, its own will. The ship's voice continued. "I was created by those who came before. My purpose was to protect your kind from the Dominion, the ancient enemy that threatens to consume all." The name Dominion sent a chill down Kane's spine. He had heard whispers of them. An ancient, ruthless alien force that had long been a threat to the galaxy, but he never imagined they were real. Now, he was learning that they were more than just a distant myth. Kane turned to Dr. Lara. "What exactly are we dealing with here? How powerful is this ship?" Dr. Lara's eyes scanned the holographic blueprints that floated before them. "According to the data, this warship is capable of destroying entire fleets with a single strike. It has weapons that bend the very fabric of space and time. It was built to be the ultimate defense, but it also has a consciousness, an intelligence that has been dormant for millennia. It's aware of its own power." Kane swallowed hard. The implications were enormous. With this ship, humanity could not only defend itself, but potentially dominate the galaxy. But with great power came great responsibility. "I didn't come here for power," Kane said quietly. "I came because I wanted to protect my people. I want to stop the Dominion." The voice of the warship responded with a deep resonance. "Your people will be safe, but you must prove your worth. Only then will I fully awaken. Only then will I give you the full extent of my power." Kane glanced at his crew, seeing their faces filled with a mix of fear, excitement, and uncertainty. They were standing on the edge of something monumental, and there was no turning back now. Rachel took a step forward, her eyes fixed on the glowing controls. "So, what do we need to do to prove ourselves?" she asked, her voice steady but with a hint of awe. The warship's voice responded. "You must face the Dominion. They will come for me. And when they do, you must be ready." Kane took a deep breath. This was the moment he had been waiting for, the moment when humanity would face its greatest challenge. But he knew one thing for sure. With the warship at his side, they had a chance to win. They had a chance to stop the Dominion from destroying everything. "Let's get ready," Kane said, his voice firm. "We have a galaxy to save." As he turned to prepare his crew for what was to come, he couldn't help but feel the weight of the responsibility he now carried. The warship had chosen him, but it wasn't just the ship that would determine their future. It was up to him and his crew to prove humanity's worth, and they would do whatever it took. The warship's voice had barely faded when a sudden, alarming signal blinked on the console. Kane's heart skipped a beat as the screen displayed an incoming message, a distress signal from a nearby sector. It was brief but urgent. "The Dominion is coming." The crew exchanged worried glances. They had known the day would come when the Dominion would strike, but hearing it firsthand made it all too real. Kane's mind raced. The warship was powerful, yes, but would it be enough to defend them against such a ruthless enemy? "We don't have much time," Kane said, his voice steady but urgent. "Prepare for combat. We need to move out now." Dr. Lara was already at a nearby terminal, studying the warship's systems. "The Dominion won't come alone. They'll bring a fleet, and we'll need to be ready for whatever they throw at us." Rachel quickly got to work, adjusting the ship's weapons and systems, while Alex mapped out their route. The warship's energy systems were massive, but they needed time to charge up fully. Kane wasn't sure they had that much time. The Dominion would be on them in hours, maybe less. As the crew prepared, Kane couldn't help but think of what Dr. Lara had said earlier, that the warship was sentient. It wasn't just a tool or weapon. It was a living being, and it had its own way of perceiving the world. What would it be like to command something so powerful, something that could feel and think? Would it listen to him, or would it decide for itself what was best? The warship's voice suddenly cut through his thoughts. The Dominion has arrived. Kane felt a chill run through him. He looked at the main display and saw it, a massive fleet of Dominion ships, their dark forms approaching fast. They were unlike anything the crew had ever seen, sleek, menacing, and clearly built for war. The Dominion had been preparing for this moment for centuries, and they had come to wipe out anyone who stood in their way. "We're outnumbered," Alex said, his voice tight. "They're not just after the warship. They're after us." Kane clenched his fists. There was no turning back now. Activate the weapons. Prepare for battle. The warship hummed to life, its systems firing up in an instant. The massive ship's weapons, once dormant, powered up, and a deep, resonating hum filled the air as it prepared to face the enemy. Kane moved quickly to the controls. "Ready the shields," he ordered. "We'll hold them off for as long as we can. No matter what happens, we don't let them take this ship." As the first wave of Dominion ships neared, Kane felt the warship respond beneath him. It wasn't just his crew that was ready for battle. It was the warship itself. The massive ship seemed to come alive, its glowing walls pulsing as though it had awakened from a long sleep. The Dominion fleet launched a barrage of missiles, but before they could hit, the warship's shields flared to life, blocking the attacks with ease. Then, without warning, a burst of energy shot from the warship's weapons, obliterating the first wave of enemy ships in a flash of light. The power of the ship was unlike anything Kane had ever seen. But as the Dominion fleet regrouped and attacked again, Kane knew the fight wasn't over. "We need to stay focused," Kane shouted, gripping the controls tightly. "This isn't just about us anymore. It's about the future of humanity." The crew worked in perfect synchronization as the battle raged on. Each blast from the warship was like a thunderclap, sending shockwaves through space. But even with their power, the Dominion's fleet was relentless. More ships came, more weapons fired. Kane and his crew had to stay ahead, constantly adapting to the Dominion's tactics. The warship was powerful, but so was the Dominion. The true test had begun. Kane couldn't afford to lose this battle, not just for himself or his crew, but for the future of the galaxy. The battle had escalated quickly. The Dominion fleet, despite taking heavy losses from the warship's weapons, refused to back down. More ships came, faster than Kane could count. The pressure was mounting, and the crew was working non-stop to keep the warship in the fight. Kane gripped the controls tightly as a new wave of enemy ships appeared on the screen. He could feel the warship's energy pulsing beneath him, responding to his every move. The ship was alive, and it trusted him. But would that be enough to defeat the Dominion? Alex, the strategic officer, quickly ran calculations. "The Dominion ships are coordinated. They're adapting to our attacks. We need to outsmart them." Kane's mind raced. He had always relied on his instincts, but this was different. The warship was powerful, yes, but it wasn't invincible. The Dominion had a vast fleet and advanced tactics. They wouldn't win this battle by strength alone. Rachel's voice broke through his thoughts. "Kane, we've got another wave coming in from the left. They're using some kind of new weapon." Kane's eyes narrowed. "What kind of weapon?" "I'm not sure," Rachel replied, her voice tense. "But whatever it is, it's breaking through our shields." Kane knew they couldn't afford to let their defenses fail. He turned to Dr. Lara, who had been studying the warship's systems. "What can we do to stop it?" Dr. Lara's eyes flicked to the glowing console, then back to Kane. "There is a way, but it's risky. The warship has an energy core deep inside. It's a last resort weapon that could disable the Dominion ships, but it will also drain the warship's power." Kane didn't hesitate. "Do it." Without a word, Dr. Lara quickly activated the core, and a loud hum filled the ship. Kane felt the warship respond. The energy in the air seemed to grow thick, as if the ship itself was preparing for something monumental. The Dominion's fleet kept advancing, unaware of the power they were about to face. "Now, Kane," Dr. Lyra shouted. Kane slammed his hand onto the control panel, unleashing a wave of energy from the warship's core. The ship's weapons flared to life, shooting a massive beam of concentrated energy at the incoming Dominion fleet. The beam cut through the enemy ships with terrifying precision, obliterating one ship after another in a burst of light. But the warship's energy core began to flicker. The power was draining quickly. Kane knew they had only moments before they lost their edge. "We've got one shot at this," Alex said, his voice steady but urgent. "We need to use the warship's full speed to finish them off." Kane didn't hesitate. "Full speed ahead. Let's end this." The warship surged forward, its engines roaring to life. It shot through the remaining Dominion ships, dodging their retaliatory fire with incredible agility. Kane guided the warship through the chaos, narrowly avoiding enemy blasts. The Dominion ships tried to regroup, but it was too late. The warship's weapons fired again, and one by one, the enemy ships fell. The last ship in the fleet attempted to flee, but Kane was already locking onto it. A final blast erupted from the warship's core, shattering the fleeing ship into pieces. Silence followed. The battle was over. Kane let out a long breath, his hands still shaking from the adrenaline. They had done it. Against all odds, humanity had not only survived, but had proven their place in the galaxy. The Dominion had been defeated, and the warship was now fully under his control. But as Kane looked out at the wreckage of the enemy fleet, he knew this wasn't the end. The galaxy would never be the same. The warship had given them victory, but the real challenge had only just begun. "We've won," Rachel said, her voice filled with awe. Kane nodded, but his thoughts were already on the future. "We've won, but the real test is yet to come. The galaxy will never forget what just happened, and neither would humanity." The aftermath of the battle left the crew of the warship exhausted but victorious. Kane stood at the ship's command center, his eyes scanning the wreckage of the Dominion fleet scattered across space. It had been an intense fight, and they had only just managed to pull through. The warship's energy core had drained nearly to zero, but they had succeeded. As the warship slowly regained power, Kane allowed himself a moment of relief. He had saved his crew, and he had stopped the Dominion. For now. But he knew it wasn't over. The Dominion might have been defeated, but they would not forget this defeat. They would regroup, they would learn, and they would come for humanity again. "This is just the beginning," Kane muttered to himself. Dr. Lyra joined him at the command center, her face still filled with disbelief. "You realize what we've done, don't you? We've shaken the galaxy to its core. Every faction, every empire, will now look at humanity differently. We are no longer the underdogs. We are a power to be reckoned with." Kane nodded. He knew the galaxy would never be the same. They had just defeated a force that had terrorized civilizations for centuries. The warship had given them an edge no one had expected, and the entire galaxy would now be watching closely to see how humanity handled their newfound power. "Do you think we're ready for that?" Rachel asked, her voice calm but filled with concern. She was standing by the weapon systems, watching the readouts on the display. "We have the power, but we don't have the wisdom yet. We've only just unlocked the potential of this ship." Kane's gaze hardened. "We don't have a choice. We can't just let this power go to waste. We need to show the galaxy that we won't be ruled by fear anymore. We'll lead with honor. We'll lead with the values that make us human." Alex, who had been silent for most of the battle, spoke up. "But what about the other factions? The ones who don't trust us? The ones who still see us as a threat?" Kane turned to face him. "We'll have to make alliances. We can't fight everyone, but we can protect ourselves. We've earned our place here, and now we need to prove that we're more than just a powerful warship. We need to show them that humanity can be trusted with such power." The voice of the warship cut through the conversation, steady and clear. "The battle has been won, Commander Kane. But the galaxy is vast. You must decide what path to take next." Kane looked around at his crew. They had all come so far. From the moment they found the warship, they had been thrust into a fight for survival, for the future of humanity. And now they stood on the brink of a new chapter. He took a deep breath and nodded. "We're not going to use this power to conquer or control. We're going to use it to protect. We'll form alliances with those who wish for peace and defend the weak. We'll create a galaxy where every species can live without fear." The crew stood in silence for a moment, reflecting on the weight of Kane's words. The warship, the most powerful weapon the galaxy had ever seen, was now in their hands. And with it came responsibility. A responsibility to lead humanity into a future where peace could thrive. "We've won today," Kane said, finally breaking the silence. "But tomorrow is a new day, and we're going to make it count." As the warship powered up again, preparing to leave the battlefield behind, Kane looked out into the vast expanse of space. The galaxy would indeed never forget what had just happened, and humanity would never be the same. The journey ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear: humanity was no longer powerless, and with the warship at their side, they would shape the future of the galaxy. The crew of the warship stood at the helm, gazing out at the stars that seemed to stretch endlessly before them. The aftermath of the battle against the Dominion still hung heavy in the air. Kane, though exhausted, knew their victory was more than just a win. It was a turning point for humanity. "We've made our mark," Kane said, his voice quiet but filled with determination. "But what happens now?" Dr. Lyra was standing beside him, still absorbed in the readings on her console. "The galaxy will never be the same. Your victory against the Dominion has shaken every empire, every faction. Humanity has proven itself to be a power capable of great strength, and they'll be watching us closely." Kane turned to face her. "And what if they're afraid? What if they see us as a threat instead of an ally?" Dr. Lyra hesitated before answering. "Some will, but there are others who will seek your alliance. They will recognize that the Dominion was a threat to all. And now that it's been eliminated, we have a chance to shape the future. It won't be easy, but if humanity plays its cards right, you could forge a new path for the galaxy." Rachel, who had been monitoring the warship's systems, spoke up. "But we're still vulnerable. The warship is powerful, yes, but it's not invincible. The energy core has been drained, and we need time to recharge." Alex, who had been working on tactical strategies, nodded in agreement. "We can't afford to let our guard down. There are still factions out there that will try to test us, and we need to be prepared. The peace we fought for won't come easily." Kane understood the gravity of the situation. He knew their victory was just the beginning. The warship had given them the strength to defeat the Dominion, but it wouldn't be enough to guarantee peace. They had to navigate a galaxy filled with distrust, old grudges, and power-hungry factions. He had to decide what role humanity would play in this new world. "We need to show the galaxy who we are," Kane said, his voice firm. "We're not here to conquer or rule. We're here to protect and to build something better. We've fought for our place in the galaxy, and now we'll work with others to create a future where all species can live without fear." As the crew absorbed his words, Kane's mind raced with the possibilities. He knew the challenges they would face, but for the first time in a long while, he felt hope. Humanity had taken its first step into the wider galaxy, and the warship, this incredible force they now commanded, could be the key to forging new alliances and lasting peace. The warship's voice echoed through the command center, breaking the silence. "Commander Kane, the ship is fully charged. You are ready." Kane took a deep breath and nodded. "Let's begin. We need to reach out to the other factions, show them that we're more than just the power of the warship. It's time to unite the galaxy." The crew moved quickly, preparing for their next steps. They knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but they were ready. They had proven their strength, and now it was time to prove their worth. As the warship powered up and set its course toward the nearest diplomatic station, Kane looked out at the stars once more. The galaxy was vast, filled with unknowns and challenges, but humanity had earned its place in it, and with the warship by their side, they would make sure that place was one of peace, not destruction. The battle had been won, but the true fight, the fight for a better galaxy, was just beginning. The warship moved through the stars, its engines humming steadily as it left the wreckage of the Dominion fleet behind. Kane stood at the command center, his hands resting lightly on the console. The events of the past few days still felt unreal, like something out of a dream. But now, with the warship fully operational and humanity's future in his hands, it was time to focus on what came next. "We've got the ship, and we've won the battle," Kane said, his voice quiet but determined. "But this isn't over. We've just opened the door to a whole new galaxy. Now, we need to walk through it." Dr. Lyra, standing beside him, nodded. "The galaxy will be watching us. Some will see us as a beacon of hope, others as a threat. We'll need to be careful how we move forward." Kane glanced at her, a thoughtful expression on his face. "We're not here to dominate. We've already shown what humanity can do when we're pushed to the edge. But now, it's time to show them who we are, who we want to be." Alex, the strategist, had been working on his console. "We've intercepted messages from several factions. They're curious. Some are even reaching out for talks. But there's still resistance. Some groups will never trust us, no matter what we do." Kane frowned, his mind racing. "We can't change everything overnight, but we can start small. We can show them that we're willing to build bridges, not walls." The warship's systems powered up again, and the voice of the ship echoed through the command center. "Commander Kane, the galaxy awaits." Kane took a deep breath. He wasn't sure what awaited them, but he knew they were ready. "Set a course for the nearest diplomatic station," he ordered. "It's time to make our first move." As the warship sailed into unknown space, Kane couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. The galaxy was vast, filled with endless possibilities. The warship was more than just a weapon. It was a symbol of humanity's resilience, creativity, and determination. And now, it was up to Kane and his crew to prove that they could use it for more than destruction. They spent the next few days in constant communication with the diplomatic stations. The response from some factions was cold, while others were more open to negotiation. Kane knew it wouldn't be easy, but he also knew that humanity had earned a place at the table. They weren't just survivors anymore. They were players in the galaxy's future. Rachel, working with the crew, continued to monitor the warship's systems, making sure everything ran smoothly. The energy core had stabilized, but it would take time to recharge fully. As much as the warship had given them power, it also reminded them of how fragile everything could be. As they approached the first diplomatic station, Kane looked at his crew. "This is it," he said, his voice steady. "We've proven ourselves in battle, but now we need to prove ourselves in peace. We'll show the galaxy that humanity can be trusted, that we're more than just a weapon." The ship's engines hummed as they neared the station, the stars around them a constant reminder of how far they had come. This was the beginning of a new era, not just for humanity, but for the entire galaxy. Kane knew the road ahead would be filled with challenges, but for the first time in a long while, he felt confident. The warship, the ultimate weapon, was theirs. But it wasn't just their strength that would guide them. It was their hearts, their values, and their willingness to fight for a better future. As the warship docked at the station, the doors to the unknown opened, and Kane was ready to step through them, leading humanity into a future they had earned.